is about investing in more diversity at the top and in more women, and creating a space where it feels for a moment that this space does exist for you when it really doesn't normally and most of the time. So I think that's the really interesting part of this project, and there's tons of synergies in the work that we're doing with our own company.
And what are your roles going to be within the program specifically?
Well, we're super lucky because we actually get to mentor the 15 winners. And I'm looking forward to it because I'm going to look at it as a give and take as well. There's a bunch of different industries represented, a bunch of, obviously, the women are super diverse, have many backgrounds. So I'm going to look to, we've had a lot of learnings within a year, a lot of challenges of starting your own company that for us have just been super exciting and life-giving and challenging. I think when you come from a background of sports, you really embrace challenges and you really embrace failure. So in that aspect, we've had a lot of learnings, and I can't wait to share those with these 15 winners. And I also can't wait to hear their stories. I think that I'm probably going to come away with more than I'm able to give. So I'm looking forward to just meeting and hearing about each CEO, founder, and company.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned through starting your own company that you could pass on to others?
Yes, I think the greatest lesson that I've learned, and I've been lucky to have amazing female mentors myself, so part of why I was so attracted to this, the lesson that I learned from them and that I've learned on my own is that nobody really knows how to run a business. It's you kind of just do it. And I come, my personality, my background, I'm like very studious, and I like to do everything like as an expert. Like I know how to play soccer, I'm an expert. But as a businesswoman, I was like, okay, I have to like learn how to do this. And I was told really, really quickly, actually, you don't, you just do it. And everybody does it differently, and it'll look different. And especially because the nature of our business, we're trying to reimagine everything. They're like the status quo way of doing things is actually out the window. And so with that, with kind of embracing the unknowns and the challenges, there's definitely another lesson that is there's going to be struggle at every corner. And if you are trying to do things differently, if you are reimagining everything, if you are a disruptor, it's going to be very, very challenging. And so the beautiful lesson that I love to share is that, as you push forward and as you're going in the right direction, as you're climbing up the mountain, the air gets thinner. And so actually embracing that hardship and that struggle as a sign that you're pushing in the right direction is something that I'm looking forward to passing on to all the other female entrepreneurs.
With all of this change that's been happening in your careers and in your lives, maybe you could speak to how things have changed for you on a personal level or on a professional level in the last year or in the last 2 years.
I feel like it's probably easier to say how it hasn't. So many things have changed. I feel like so many things continue to change. I think maybe everybody went through a brief period of, I want to go back to that, whatever was before. And maybe some people are still feeling like that. I feel like in order to kind of move forward, I really had to start thinking from the perspective of, okay, like that was, like that's gone. And what's in front of us now. And, for us with having Re-Inc, there's so much life. Having a young company is fun because it's so green. You can change so much. And I feel like really lucky because we have been able to kind of support our community, support the Times during this time in a real way, and in a real way that is kind of set up for some big change. So I've really loved that part about our company. And for sport, it's, obviously extremely difficult in this time to understand what sports, are going to look like, what they look like now. And, for somebody that just absolutely loves sports and has made their whole life out of it, I think is really challenging. But I think, putting aside, the wants and needs of myself, I think, in the greater sense of the world, we all have to come to a place where we feel safe and we feel comfortable in our environments, and specifically our work environment. So, I'm looking forward to that time that, public health and safety obviously is the main priority, and for everyone, to be taken care of in that way. But just really embracing, what's in front and the things that we can do in this moment now, and not, getting hung up with, what could have been, or what we want to have happen. But just understanding that, life, is out of our control sometimes. And instead of, waiting for things to change, just really going out there and continuing to change things yourself.
Well said. And how about you, Christen? How has your life changed or not changed in the last few years?
Yeah, personally, during this time, I think there was a moment where I wanted to pause and and just wait and kind of see, how things were going to go. And I had to make a decision to really live during this time. And in the last, it's been like 3 months of a COVID world. And, I've talked about it with Tobin, I've talked about it with a lot of people in this company. It's like each day cannot be waiting for tomorrow to be better. It has to be like the best day today. And so I try to wake up now with this like refreshed present moment awareness that today is the day that we have, and we might be sheltering in place today. We might not be, having a game in soccer today, but like, what do we have and how do we make the most of that? And in that way, it's been a blessing for me, because I think, stepping out of this, I think that's the way you should live your life all the time. But we do I personally get so caught up in like my goals and my ambitions and like what's coming next, preparing for the Olympics. And so when those long-term goals are shaken, and taken away from you, it was really for me a restorative moment of like, okay, I need to come back to what this moment is. And as Tobin said, we've been really lucky to be able to really enjoy this time, from on a business sense of being able to help and feel like powerful. And from, a football perspective, I actually feel like it's an amazing time for growth. It's not easy to be, training and staying ready for this long period of time on your own. But what a challenge, like what an opportunity to get better and to be your best self. And it really has like shown me how much I love my job and how much I love what I do.
How has your training been affected by the quarantines and by COVID in any way? I mean, it seems like it must have changed a little bit just for the lack of being able to leave your house at some points.
Yeah, there was a while where I couldn't get on a field. I had nowhere to train. But now I feel really lucky that I have a safe facility. And so the biggest difference is I'm training every day individually. And so I'm missing my teammates. So that's a big thing. But I feel that because the nature of our season has always been on season, off season, I'm actually quite prepared and quite practiced at training on my own. So it's not so different. I think the biggest difference is the goal setting. I usually am training for my next camp or for my next game, and now I'm just training for some news of when that might be.
How about you, Tobin?
Yeah, I think it was really humbling in the beginning when you were just like, I need a field, and people were just like, no, you can't have a field, and you're like, what do you mean? And I think that was really, really hard, but it was super humbling, like really, really humbling, especially being a professional athlete when you're completely kind of taken care of, like with your job and everything like that. And, all of a sudden you're having to find these resources for yourself to, play soccer in the house, to find a small piece of grass where there's no people is actually, extremely difficult. I kind of wanted to go back to, growing up at my parents' house where, I had a beautiful backyard and a goal, and it kind of really brings you back to where you started, which in a lot of ways, for me, it just makes you super thankful for everything you've been given, as a professional athlete. You just kind of expect things, and, COVID kind of has taken away all expectations. So for me, yeah, that humbling part of, redefining what training looks like. Obviously we train by ourselves in small groups all the time. So that's not difficult. I think like Kristen said, not really having an idea of what's next. Even like if you want to look far out to next summer, you know, that's still undecided as well. So like we kind of got talked about in the beginning, it's just that present moment awareness and staying, like if you start thinking, you know, either too far forward or back, that, you know, your head would probably start going crazy, but just really staying in the moment, staying present, and understanding that there's a lot to get done in today, regardless of the situation.
Well, it's given you a lot of time to work on your company, probably. So what are your different roles? There's 4 of you, correct? So what are your different roles within the company?
Yeah, we all have our kind of lanes that we swim down, but actually we're quite a collaborative executive board, making a lot of day-to-day decisions. I'm lucky, I'm the CEO, so I'm very hands-on. I make a lot of the day-to-day decisions. I get to work with the team across all the departments of the company. So I love my role because it's very well suited for my personality. It's about leadership, and for me, leadership is service. And so I kind of try to approach my job every day as like, what can I do for my team? And I think that's really fun. I think that like supporting and uplifting a team is something that I really, really love and enjoy.
Yeah, I don't think CEO would be that much fun, honestly. But I think I have the best job in the company, which is I'm the creative director. So I get to storytell and I get to create, which for me is, I mean, it's so much fun. It's limitless. Everybody gets to kind of translate all my crazy thoughts and dreams into a reality. And we have such a beautiful team. I feel like that complements the 4 of us founders in general. We all kind of come at the business from a different angle, which is why, you know, our founding group is so strong. And obviously we have the connections of, you know, having a lifelong sport connection in a way. So we've seen each other in all different situations. And in a business, you face probably similar situations, you know, on a day-to-day basis when it comes to decision making, when it comes to who's going to do what. But for me, I'm lucky because I really feel like I get to really express myself in a way that I haven't been able to with this company. And I'm supported by people that really believe in kind of my values and missions and dreams for what we're trying to create, not just in physical products, but in kind of experiences and overall effect on the world. So it's a really fun team. We always say it's a small team, but it's a mighty team. And I'm really lucky that I get to do it with such incredible people.
Awesome. I've got 2 more questions for you because I think you have to go soon. The first is, when you are faced with opposition like you are right now, what's your first instinct to do, and what do you end up doing? Like, do you sit and internalize? You go, okay, wait, I'm going to put a strategy into place, or how do you do it?
I personally I've always been like very solution oriented. So I see a problem, I immediately start thinking about solutions. And I actually, you know, it is a strength, but it's also a weakness in that I think it's like an anxious response where I'm like, problem, solution, I got to solve it. And so what I'm working on is actually pausing and recognizing that maybe my first solution isn't the best solution. Maybe somebody else knows better, and kind of slowing down and taking problems, you know, a touch more thoughtfully and peacefully. And then the second wave of like what I'm working on is really embracing the struggle. And Tobin's taught me this a lot. Struggles are often a sign that you're going in the right direction, like that you're going to meet resistance as you go. And so instead of thinking any problem has to be solved like today, it's like actually embracing that problem, saying, hey, why is this happening? Why is this coming up? Because generally it's a sign that you're pushing and doing something new.
Okay. And Tobin?
Yeah, I think that I think it might be my superpower that I just really don't I don't know how to really say this, but I just feel like problems and stuff like that, kind of similar to what Kristen said, kind of just excite me, like getting like failing, problems is like, I always think that any kind of change, any kind of significance that has happened in the world has happened through, you know, a time of tension, of problem solving, of something. You know, I don't want a perfect life. I don't want an easy life. You know, I really want to live life to the fullest. And for me, that seems like conquering as many things as possible. So I think I do. I get excited by challenges, and I do feel a sense of kind of motivation and purpose within those.
Wonderful. And my last question for each of you is, what to each of you is the greatest luxury in life?
I would love, I think quarantine has shown me more than anything that like, I would love to just have somebody that cooked for me, like really good food. To have really good food that somebody's prepared all the time for you, I think would be like the greatest luxury in life. And somebody that cleans up too.
Oh, obviously. And Kristen?
Yeah, I love that question because actually in the brand looking forward, we're actually discussing right now redefining luxury, and thinking of it less about like exclusive high-end products, but more as a state of self-love. And so thinking, you know, when we're thinking about our future product line, we're like, let's make everything like luscious, soft on the body, because when you put it on, it'll be a reminder that like luxury is you caring for yourself and you loving yourself. So that was a roundabout answer, but I do think that's a beautiful way to start to redefine the word.
I agree. Self-care is very important. Well, it was a pleasure talking to both of you, and thank you so much for taking the time today. Is there anything else you want to say in closing?
No, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Stay safe, both of you.
You too.
You too.